We are going to respond in this project to the COVID pandemic. And there are a lot of things that are affecting all of us differently. While some kids love having a change of routine, so this has been ideal for them, other students are confused and uncomfortable with the technology necessary to have school. There are a variety of aspects of the pandemic that you could respond to. When I started this, I asked the art teachers to consider how their students might respond to this. And I asked them to make some examples of how they wanted to respond to it. And so I'm going to show you some of the responses that they created. What they did was make their response on an 8x8 piece of paper, which is what you will be doing. And you can respond in a variety of ways. I want to show you a couple of those ways and help interpret for you what the artist is showing. Here's a drawing done with a pen, the most simple way you could do this, or a pencil. And it's showing a person who's very confused, and we know that because of all of the question marks within his hand. The hand is symbolizing the person who is responding. And then out here we have the COVID symbols that we've seen on the television daily. And it looks like people are standing on lines 6 feet apart. Another teacher loves to be outdoors, and this has impacted her ability to be outdoors. She created a collage on the road, and it says don't, and then it says wrong answer, being outside. And then she traced her hand on a piece of paper and she wrote some things about all the things she can't do. This is a drawing, and this person with colored pencils, and this person is pointing toward the word cure. Perhaps he knows somebody who's sick, and that cure is going to be the only thing that's going to help that person. We're familiar with this site only because of the pandemic. Empty shelves in a grocery store. And the hand is representing the person who is affected by that. This is done with markers, I believe. It affected the whole world. And it says apart, but together. Because the continents are apart. They're very far apart, but we are all being affected by this. And then she has people separated by those distance marks that sometimes we see on maps. This person is showing us how they coped with this situation. She has all of her art materials out on her desk. She took a picture of it, she printed it out, and she traced her hand on it. This is her coping mechanism. This person is bound up by an octopus, being held tightly, can't move. Those are all feelings that probably many of us have. And I think that's the last one. So what you'll make is one of these responses, and you will either send it to Atkinson, or you can take it to another school, because I understand that you have to get your meals from a different place right now. But just make sure that it's labeled for Atkinson School, or you can just wait until school starts and you can bring the actual piece back. But if you'll take a picture of what you make and send it to me, then I will be able to post it and give other students some idea of what you're experiencing. In order to start this project, you need to have an 8x8 piece of paper. And I'm going to show you how to make an 8x8 piece of paper. You need to trace your hand on the paper, and you can either draw your response, you can make a collage for your response with magazines or photographs or anything that you have. But as you consider how to start this, there are some things that probably you should think about. When I started mine, and the examples that I made, I have moved. This example is a collage. And what I did was I first cut my piece of paper and I traced it on a magazine. In this case, it was a blue page from a magazine. And then I found some other words and I glued those around the outside. On a separate piece of paper, a separate page of a magazine, I traced my hand, I cut it out, and I laid this on top of a yellow page in a magazine that I found that said, "See you better." Because the only way we can see each other really, or the way that we're being advised to see each other, is this way, through distance materials, phones, computers. And so within the hand, I pasted things that were about being at home. Best address, room for a view, live the extraordinary, rest assured, welcome home, love your home. But the reality is that home, that safety is amidst a lot of uncertainty. Up here it says warning. It says the long time, private group. Down at the bottom it says a state of mind, a way of life, because this has become kind of the new normal. So this is one way to go about creating this piece of art. Another collage that I made that's a little bit more simple was I found a magazine that had this peace, love, and wellness. And so being happy and healthy, I found flowers and clouds with pretty colors, and all of that is the reality of staying apart. Once you're inside your house, the only way you can see other people is through looking out, and that's not very exciting. So the shape of my hand becomes the window to see our reality in order to stay healthy. And the last one that I made is probably the most simple, and it was just the reality of seeing empty shelves at a grocery store. I took a picture of it, and I went home and I printed it, and I traced my handprint, because I experienced this. There were lots of things, and there still are lots of things I can't find at the store when I go, about every 2 weeks. So to start, find a piece of paper. It doesn't matter what paper you make it on. You can make it on notebook paper. I have a whole bunch of paper that I just found, like, that we had ended up with. I didn't buy any of it. This is the back of something that we got as an advertisement. This could be your paper. These were something from a meeting I went to at the district office. They have something on the front, nothing on the back. This could be my piece of paper. You don't have to buy anything for this project. This came with something that came in the mail, this pretty yellow piece of paper. This could be my paper that I begin with. I mentioned that your paper needs to be 8 inches by 8 inches. So I'm going to take this used piece of paper, and I need to, a standard piece of paper is 8.5 inches by 11 inches. So if I take off a 1/2 inch from the side, and I can either do that by measuring it with a ruler and marking it at the top and the bottom, and then either cutting it off or folding it and tearing it off. Now I have an 8-inch piece of paper. In order to make a square, all I have to do is fold this, actually I did it this way, fold this on a diagonal and cut off the bottom. So when I do that, I now have an 8 by 8 inch piece of paper. So this is what you need to start with. And your paper doesn't have to be blank. If it has something on both sides, you can use this as your background. That will kind of add to the statement you're making. I didn't have art materials. This is what I had. All right? So you need an 8 by 8 piece of paper. And then decide if you are going to do a drawing. If you're going to do a drawing and you don't have art materials, you probably have something like this at your house that has markers or scissors or pens or pencils. And I have a small art box at my home, believe it or not, but it doesn't have lots and lots and lots of things in it. So this might be the way I make my piece of art. And to be honest, when I made this is what I used. I used this yellow marker to go over the magazine pictures that were in the yellow, and I used this marker to go over the blue things so that they would be bluer and these would be yellower. So this one was made with a pair of scissors, magazines, and I even, if you look at the back of my paper, I just glued it onto the magazine. So this is really a simple way to do this. So anybody really can do it. When I started, I made a list of things that might have affected me, and I will post these on my Google Classroom page. Staying out of school, being quarantined at home, not able to go to restaurants, can't find our favorite foods. Maybe there are some positives. We didn't realize how important and how helpful and how dedicated nurses are. My husband is in Chicago right now, being a nurse in a big hospital because they have such a huge shortage of nurses and such a high number of patients. And I feel that he is very dedicated to have gone there and done that. It's dangerous. He's taking lots of precautions, but somebody has to take care of sick people. So that could be something that you could respond to. What are the things that helped you cope with the situation? What opportunities or frustrations have you had? Maybe things that you learned to do that you never imagined you would, but now you have lots of free time, and so you're trying some things you've never tried before. Getting along with your brothers and sisters who drive you crazy. All of those things are really important to consider for this pandemic. However you do, whatever you do, it is your response. It will be the right way to do it. So once you complete it, take a picture, email it to me, and hang on to the original. Again, you can mail it to the school. We get our mail. You can drop it off at another school, or you can wait until school starts. Make your piece of art, submit it to me, and I will post it. It would be really helpful just to help me understand what you're feeling if when you post it to me, you could write a sentence or two to describe what you were feeling. In this situation, I might say, I'm really frustrated that it's difficult to find food that I want. In this situation, I might say, yeah, I can be happy and healthy, but I feel so alone. In this situation, I might say, yes, staying at home is a good option. It's safe and it's healthy. But outside my home, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of uncertainty. So I'm feeling sad about that. I look forward to hearing what you have to say, and I look forward to seeing how you express that. Each week, I will create an opportunity for Zoom so that you can perhaps learn about some techniques for materials you might have at your house. I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you. Take care.